What's up everybody, Jeremy Rubin, the Friendly Flipper here, and I have something exciting to share with you today. We're gonna be talking about the hybrid flip, okay? So this is something a little bit different, something I've been leaning into in 2024 and definitely going to be leaning into in 2025. I wanted to share it with you because it is a new strategy. It's a way that you can generate fat flip profits without getting a deal at 70% or less, without hard money, without a fat down payment, without holding costs, and without spending months and months on a renovation managing contractors, okay? Ready? Let's dive in, okay? So that's what it's not. Let's talk about what it is here. Then I'll be going over some examples of deals I've done in this past year for you to take a look at so you can see exactly what it looks like, all right? So the hybrid flip, all right? So of course, I'm still fixing and flipping houses, but the hybrid flip is a little bit of a different strategy that will allow you to create deals where deals were not previously possible, okay? So check this out. That means even leads that you have right now in your pipeline, you might be able to convert using this strategy and turn it into a very profitable deal, okay? So check it out. So we know what it's not. Here's what it is. We're talking about now being able to take deals anywhere in the 70% all the way up to 85%, maybe even a little bit more than that, and turn it into a profitable deal. How? Well, I'll show you shortly. We're talking about you don't need a hard money loan for this. All we're going to be doing to these properties is minimal renovations, okay? So we're talking about paint, carpet, and cleanup. And sometimes it's only cleanup, okay? So very, very minimal. That means minimal hold times, minimal expenses out of pocket, minimal risk, okay? You with me so far? What we're doing is getting these homes 30-year loan ready, okay? So that's the whole strategy here is we want to find a property and get it ready so an end user buyer can buy this property with a conventional 30-year mortgage, all right? Or FHA mortgage or VA, but we're talking about 30-year mortgage, okay? So we're not necessarily wholesaling to a cash buyer where we need that deep discount up front. We're getting a property at a price that works for the seller, but will also work for our buyer, okay? You with me so far? And last but not least, we're talking about a fast turn and fat profits, flip profits, okay? And we'll get right into it, okay? So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna show you over here kind of some examples of deals that we've done so that you have a real good idea of what I'm talking about here. So let's just jump right in to some examples. Okay, cool. So flip strategy with this one. This property is in Paso Robles, California. So we acquired this property, we put it under contract at $450,000. I want you to recognize we got purchase price, sold price, right? Pretty understandable. Our net profit. This right here, COGS, that means cost of goods sold. Basically, this is everything we're putting into the property in order to sell it, or expenses that come into play when we sell the property, okay? So using just these four numbers, it'll give you a quick visual on the type of profit we're making, the amount of money we're putting into these deals to make it work, okay? So notice this property, when we acquired it, it's fairly nice, but it's not the best. When we sold it, it's fairly nice, it's not the best. That's okay. We don't need to buy these properties at such a deep discount. If I were to go to fix and flip this, I would have had to buy this in the 300s, the high 300s, mid to high 300s. The seller wasn't going to go for that. How many deals, how many leads do you have in your pipeline right now where the seller just isn't going for your 70% minus repairs offer? Probably quite a few, right? Well, what if you could bump that number up and still make it a very profitable deal for yourself and get the seller exactly what they need in order to move on, right? Well, that's what we did here. So this all revolves around arriving at a net number for the seller, okay? So meaning we want to understand what's important to them, and really at the end of the day, when they walk away from the property, they hand over the keys, how much do they need in their bank, or how much do they need on that closing check, okay? So sometimes it's not going to work at 70%, 75%, you know this, right? but it will work at 80%, 85%. But in the past, you're like, I can't make a deal happen there. Well, here's how you can make that deal happen. So with this property, we put it under contract at $450. We sold it at $510. That's only a $60,000 spread. Who can flip a house with a $60,000 spread? Well, now you can. All we did on this was go in, make it a lot more marketable. We cleaned up the property, we painted some walls, we cleaned up the yard, and then we put it up for sale on the market after we knew what was important to the seller and what the seller needed to be able to take home from that. And they were good with $450. They weren't good with $380, but they were good with $450. Perfect. So what we were able to do then is say, okay, Mr. Seller, at the end of the day, you're gonna net your $450,000. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the property, we're gonna make some minimal improvements to the place, make it marketable, we're gonna put it on the market. We are gonna put it on the market at a higher price because we're gonna take on all the expenses. We're gonna cover any commissions, we're gonna cover all the closing costs, we're gonna cover any renovations that need to be done per the inspection or per the appraiser, right? We're not doing the whole thing, right? Not doing brand new cabinets and flooring and all that. All we're doing is the minimal improvements to be able to qualify for a 30-year loan. You with me so far? Cool. So what we did, we bought it for $450, but when I say buy it, we actually did not close on the property, okay? So you're not even having to take title. You're not taking on a mortgage payment. You're simply putting the property under contract with the right paperwork that allows you to go in, make the renovations, sell the property, get the seller what they need, and then you walk away with how much? Well, on this deal, we netted $40,000, $40,500. Is that not flip profit money? I think it is, right? Cool. So that was an example number one with only a $60,000 spread there, okay? Stay with me, I've got a few more examples for you. So this other one here, this next one, Santa Ynez, California. This one is here, I love $1 million homes. Why? Because there's less competition in there, less people fighting for the deal, but also you can make a very handsome profit with a relatively small sliver of a large pie, so to speak, okay? So this property, same strategy. What we did was negotiate with the seller, arrive at a price that's going to work for them, which was 1.250. We made some minimal improvements to the property, cleaned it up, got it marketable, but the key thing here is once we arrive at this number, the seller knows that we're gonna take care of everything from there forward. So they have peace of mind. They don't have to worry about a thing. They don't have to worry about negotiations on a second negotiation when it comes to doing an inspection and a repair request that you normally would have to do when you're selling a property. They're just on to the next thing in their life. They're looking at their next property. They're figuring out their next plan. We take on everything else after we arrive at a net number for them. And that gives them peace of mind, gives them value, and that's where we're able to add a ton of value as real estate investors because we're taking on the risk, so to speak. But in reality, when you know what you're doing, you're working with someone like me, we're minimizing the risk anyway. So we know our numbers, we know what we're doing. We put this one under contract at 1.250, and we sold it at 1.4, $150,000 spread. Now that's a bigger spread, but still, you can't flip this property with a $150,000 spread. You can't. You're going to spend almost $150,000 in renovations alone on something like this. So how we were able to make it work is we arrived at that price, minimal cleanup. We take on the burden of selling the property, which really isn't hard for us. We pay out commissions to the agent that brings the buyer. Pay out minimal commissions to our listing agent, and bam, at the end of the day, we're netting $89,000. And again, we don't have to take title, we don't have mortgage payments, we don't have to manage an extensive renovation, easy peasy. And we're coming away with a profit of $89,000. Is that not a flip number right there? Is that not a flip profit there for you? All right, you starting to see what I'm talking about? Cool, here's another example for you. I've got just a few more of these so you kind of start to get the concept. And once you know how to present these type of offers to sellers, it really becomes that much easier, and it's really not difficult. Here's another example here we've got from Santa Maria, California. Shout out to Santa Maria, the hometown, home base. This property, we're looking at, again, a $50,000 spread here. So normally you can't flip a property with a $50,000 spread. It just doesn't work. But what we could do is employ our novation strategy. That's right. So the hybrid flip, where again, what we're doing, this place was a mess. So what we had to do is we had to go in there, we had to help the seller clean the place up, pack up their belongings, move them to storage. We're solving problems. That's what we do as real estate investors. We solve problems. Who else is going to come in and do that for them and give them a price that works? You've got those fix and flipper guys making offers at 65%, making offers in the low 300s, high 200s, and they just couldn't work with that. So we come along, we present a different option for them. Hey, we can get you $370,000 in your pocket, and we'll help you get all of your belongings packed up, moved to storage. We'll paint the property where it's needed. We'll make the minimal improvements that the appraiser wants to see so that it passes, and an end user buyer, someone who's going to live there, can now finance the property with a 30-year loan. And we can do all of that within this $50,000 spread. Again, we're not taking title, we're not closing on the property, but we were able, after putting $26,000 into it, along with the cost of selling it, paying out the commission, we still netted $23,800, $23,871 to be exact. Again, great money compared to the amount of work we're doing. We spent less than 2 weeks cleaning it, packing up, and at the end of the day, the seller got what they needed. We made a great profit, and this is something that otherwise we would have passed on. In years past, man, can't do much with that, right? Probably something that you would have passed on even if you're well-versed in the fixing and flipping realm, because just the spread's not there. But now the spread is there because we're not putting as much into it. We don't have the holding costs. We don't have the hard money points up front. We don't have to factor in how much we're gonna have to pay for all that capital to borrow the $370 plus the renovation, right? Starting to make sense? I hope so. Stick with me. We've got a couple more examples here for you. All right, so here we go. San Bernardino, California, in SoCal, another great example of arriving at a net number with the seller, something that's going to work for them, something reasonable, and then just going in and doing minimal renovations so that way it can qualify for a bank loan for our end user buyer. We put this one under contract at $370,000. We ended up just doing minimal improvements, painting here and there, patching up some door frames, some minimal roof repair, just the bare minimum, the health and safety items, making sure it's got smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, all the little stuff that it needs to be able to sell to an end user buyer, someone who's going to live there, but without putting anywhere near the money we would have to or the work we would have to if we were going for a full fix and flip strategy, okay? We bought it, put it under contract at $370,000, ended up selling it at $445,000. That's a pretty good spread there, right? And all we put into it was about $19,000. So $19,000, minimal work, minimal cleanup, and netted $55,175 at the end of the day. Is this starting to make sense? Is this starting to get you excited? Are the juices starting to flow here? As you can see, kind of a mess when we got it, but it's really not that expensive to send somebody in, order a roll-off, and have them just trash the place out, and then we go through, spruce it up. Now, we're not pricing these when we go to sell them. We're not pricing them way up here, top of market. We're pricing them so they'll move quickly. We're pricing them at a fair price that's going to bring a lot of buyers to look at it, and then they're going to be like, okay, cool, I can see myself living here, and I can make improvements over time. Not everybody can come in and afford your top-notch fix and flip deal either. So you're opening yourself to buyers that can come in and that maybe can't afford your fully renovated house either. So you're helping the seller, you're helping buyers, and you're helping yourself. At the end of the day, you're putting together something that's going to work for everybody. Win-win-win situations. All right, let's take a look at another one here on the Central Coast, Grover Beach, California. So this one, we put under contract for $480,000, okay? We ended up selling for $570,000. Again, less than $100,000 spread, $90,000 spread here. And all we really had to do, again on this one, clean it up and market it. It's all about cleaning it up and finding the buyer. Clean it up, find the buyer. This one actually we ended up assigning to not a fix and flip buyer, but a buy and hold buyer. So here's another thing about when you're doing assignments. People that are going to fix and flip the property, they need that deep discount. People that are going to buy and hold it, they can pay a little bit more. So now start thinking in terms of who you're selling these to. They can be people that are going to live in the property or people that are buying the property with long-term hold intentions, okay? In both of those scenarios, they can pay more than your traditional cash buyer, okay? So if you're tired of getting just beat up when you put your property out there with low cash offers, well, here's the solution for that. And you might be wondering, how do you get paid out an assignment fee when you sell it to someone who's going to live there? How does a traditional bank or a conventional loan pay out an assignment fee? Well, it's all about having the right paperwork. And in the program, I go over all that, make sure you're equipped with all that good stuff. This is just to kind of get the wheels turning so you have an idea of how this works, big picture. And if you think this is something you want to implement, you're ready to get started, I encourage you to book a call at the end of this video. I've got just a couple more examples here. But at this one, at the end of the day, we ended up spending $32,000 to get it sold and netted a profit of 58 grand. How can you complain with 58 G's in your bank? I don't think you can. Not when you're only putting minimal work into the property. And by the way less headaches because, hey, you're not having to manage several phases of a renovation. All you're doing is bare minimum cleanup. Is what I'm saying starting to resonate? I hope so. So check it out. That was 5 deals we covered right there. 5 deals, over $266,000 in profit generated. On average, $53,309 per deal. And you saw it, folks. None of those houses were pretty at the end of it, but they were sold, cleaned up, sold. So just again, so you hear what I'm saying here. We're buying these anywhere from 70%, I mean lower is fine too, but we're putting them under contract at 70% all the way up to 85%. You can even bump that a little bit higher on some of them. No loan needed. Paint, carpet, and cleanup, bare minimum renovations. We're getting them a 30-year loan ready so we can market it to our target buyer, who's somebody that's going to live there or someone who wants to buy that property as a rental for the long term. And we're talking fast turn and flip profit. So if this resonates with you, if you want to learn more about how you can implement this strategy in your flipping business going into 2025, then I encourage you to book a call. Book a call. We'll hop on a quick call. I'll just want to learn a little bit about who you are, what your business looks like now, and then we'll talk about where we can take it into 2025. I'm excited to share this strategy with you. To book a call, just scan that QR code thing or click the link here nearby. It's somewhere around here, and we'll get on a call and we'll talk about how we can make you a massive flipping success with this hybrid theory going into 2025. Look forward to getting on a call with you. And for now, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.